All right. Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday to you. We are starting a special edition today on Monday rather than Fridays like normal. But I want to start, as always, by introducing our sponsors. As you can see, Chihuahua Cerveza, based in Newport and now all across the country. If you're ever in the Orange County area, stop by the Newport location. Sample some of the food, sample some of the beverages, and it's always a good time. Also, 100% Media. They do all of the technology that we use, from the podcast setup to the editing, and also Adam Schwartz at Resilient Real Estate. If you're looking for anything in the real estate or just anything to do with homes, give Adam a call. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's hard to miss. He's got podcasts. He's got blogs, lots of good information, and he would be definitely happy to help you. Today I have a special guest. I was able to get someone here, kind of a local Instagram celebrity with 5,000 followers. I have Miss Yesenia Rodriguez in here. She is a local writer / teacher, and I wanted to welcome you to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. Far from celebrity, but thank you for that.
Like 5,000 compared to I can't even crack 1,000 is a celebrity. There's a lot of people following what you do, and that's kind of how I found you.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about what you do besides writing, and then we'll get into that.
Okay, so what I do besides writing, I like to call myself a multi-potentialite. So I like to dabble in a lot of everything.
Okay.
I'm a cosmetologist. I'm a cosmetology teacher. I'm a substitute teacher. I still do bridal hair on the weekends from time to time. And I do the writing. So yeah, like you said, I'm pretty new to that. I'm learning the whole social media marketing thing. So I just kind of go in whichever direction, it's going to take me with whatever project I'm working on. But I rarely say no to anything. So I'll try it out. Multi-potentialite.
Well, that's a good word. I've never heard that. So
yeah.
That's actually something you should probably keep and maybe patent or put on a t-shirt or something.
I can't take credit for it, but no, I saw a TED Talk on that.
Oh, okay.
But I loved it so much that I always use it. It's mentioned in my book under about the author. And it's just a nicer way of saying jack of all trades.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I'd never heard it, but that's first time to me. So, going into a little bit about everything that you had mentioned, where did you begin? Obviously to be a teacher of cosmetology and work at a university of cosmetology, that had to be the direction you were looking because of the time you put into that.
What's funny is I always say I go where the wind takes me, where the wind blows
Sure.
me. And it kind of happened that way with teaching cosmetology. So, of course, being a cosmetologist, yes, that was planned. So I grew up in Harupa Valley, went to school out in Harupa Valley. I kind of knew at an early age that I was going to be a cosmetologist. And I went to RCC, our local RCC here, to be licensed. I worked in a hair salon for a few years, about 5, almost 6 years. Unexpectedly, I left the salon and I started working at the school that I went to at RCC. And I did mostly like administrative type of work. And I was there for a few years, starting in 2013. And I got a bachelor's degree at CBU in that time in psychology. So, like I said, I dabble in everything.
Sure.
So from there, I was looking for a job in, the psychology field, which there's not a lot if you're not, if you don't have a master's yet or that licensing. So I just thought, you know what, I'm here at RCC, let me take the instructor training program. And that's what led me to teaching. So I would do the program in the morning, work there in the evening, and then once I finished, I was able to teach part-time as an adjunct faculty.
Wow,
yeah.
That's impressive. So time-wise, just for people that are following along, what's your timeline to become a licensed cosmetologist for that education?
So it took me a year, and if you go through that program, the full-time is about a year. Night program is a year and a half. So anywhere in California, though, it's 1,600 hours. So if you go part-time, it could vary depending on what school you go to, but it's about a year to year and a half.
Okay, so it's a lot of time spent, and it's definitely a decision that you have to make.
Yes.
You can't just go in and do it online and be done.
Exactly.
So, and then going from there to deciding that you wanted to go into the psychology field. How did that, I mean, I get it following the wind thing, but that's a big turn.
It is a big turn, but yes, I love working with people.
Right.
I love talking to people and being very personable. So, it's kind of a joke that we say in working in the hair salon, you talk to people, a lot of people, and you know a lot of things about them. And so you kind of learn, that back and forth, how to respond to people, how to adapt to different personalities. It's all about communication. And so, I just always had those ideas of, man, I want to learn more about how to know what the mind is thinking. So that kind of stuff has always intrigued me. So I just thought, well, I have to go to school for something. So I'll go to psychology. I went a little bit later in life. I think I was 24 when I went back for the bachelor's degree. So I just chose something that interested me and I might be able to use it for, anything. And it worked out. I really liked the program. I did plan to go back, but right now I'm just trying out different things.
No, that's kind of where I was going with that, because there's that saying where bartenders are psychologists, and when you have for ladies especially, when you have a nail person, a hair person, a makeup person, you kind of look forward to that once a month, because it's like seeing a friend. And it's very hard to sit there in the chair still and not have a conversation. It gets really awkward. So, you do have to enjoy people, and you do have to enjoy listening, and you do have to enjoy conversing. And a lot of times, ultimately, they do kind of lay some things on you that you weren't really expecting. So you have to be able to kind of handle it. And, and if you can help them, even better. So it's just kind of a long-term and expensive way to go about it.
Yes, it is. But I just thought I was going to completely leave the cosmetology field and switch into something different. I was planning on being a licensed psychologist, and but then things just kind of turned. Like, hey, let me try this out. And just if one thing didn't go one way, I just kind of roll with the punches. So that's kind of how I've been lately. So doing the instructor training, it was it was a very last minute thing. My boss technically was my teacher, so I just showed up and he had no idea I was going to be there, and just was like, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I'm taking the class. I just decided last night I'm going to take the class." So
well, that's good.
Yeah.
So when you started doing that, is that what created kind of another, I guess, seeing the light to go another direction once you started doing that?
I don't know that it's once I started doing that. I think I've always had it within me to, that sounds so dramatic. It's always been within me to just want to experience different things.
Okay.
So I've never been very, I like structure, but very loose structure. So I'll have kind of a plan, but no clear ending to it, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So, I'm just willing to try different things. So I know that it started there. I applied for so many different kinds of jobs. I applied to be a correctional officer. Okay. So I was just kind of willing to to try different things.
A little bit of psychology, but
yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, because you definitely, as I'm using my one semester of RCC psychology, you're starting to realize how it is different. Some people, I'm more along the lines, like I was telling you, once I find something that I like and that I think I do well, I want to become the best at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to venture out into other things that it might not work. I'd rather invest the time in something that I already know.
Yes.
And then there's other people that are like you. They like to dabble in different things and see which one they really, really like before they move off in a direction.
Yes.
So, which either way is really cool. It's just, it's interesting to me how kind of one connected to the other.
Yeah.
Because, when you go into, and I'm sure a lot of people like this, once they get into that cosmetology field, that's what they're going to do to make money and earn a living. And, now it's a little different because, as you've noticed with social media, there's a lot of estheticians and hair and makeup, and there's a different way to advertise it and get yourself out there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I kind of left the hair scene before that really blew up. I don't think I even had social media while I was a hairstylist.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot wider. There's so much more out there. I almost felt overwhelmed getting back into doing hair as a teacher, because there's just so much. I felt like I had to relearn everything. But it's fun. I like doing the special occasion hairstyling. I never thought I would do that, but it was just kind of an opportunity I had to work with a friend. So so I do it.
Well, it's kind of a creative, almost an artistic kind of bend. You have to see different people when they come in, and this style works for you, this style works for you.
Yeah.
So it's got a different kind of mindset to it. So it's hard to jump back and forth, and stay current because it changes so fast.
Yes. Yeah. You do have to learn all the time. And that's with almost anything, right? You have to keep up with the times and continue to learn. But that's what we like to tell our students in cosmetology. Your education does not end here. This is just the tipping point. This is the very beginning, and you're going to continue to learn. And, some people, they do like to be very specific on one thing. So you can be an expert in that one area and just learn everything you can in that area. Or you could just dabble in a lot of things. So yeah, that's what we talk to our students about all the time.
So now the teaching part of it, I know you'd mentioned when we were talking before that you are a substitute for JUSD.
Yeah.
Are you a sub in any other districts?
I was in Fontana, but the subbing thing, I started right before the pandemic.
Sure.
So I only did that for a couple of months.
Okay.
And then the pandemic hit. So I did Fontana very shortly, and then I've stayed with JUSD because that's where I went to school. So I'm familiar with a lot of the schools, a lot of the teachers, so I've stuck around there.
Okay. So then that was going to be my next question too. How has that been for you? Have you done any subbing online lately?
I just did. So I kind of wasn't really doing it because, for one, there wasn't a lot of subs needed online, but there are from time to time. And so I kind of just stopped looking at that because I was so into my project of making a book. And then I had, I've been talking to a lot more teachers lately. So I had a former teacher of mine ask me if I wanted to sub, and I thought, yeah, I will. Sure. So it's fun. The substitute thing is nice because there's a flexibility. You can kind of just, make your own schedule. So I love that. And so, if I come across someone that wants me to sub, I'll sub for you. Yeah. It's very last minute. Excuse me. It's very last minute. And so with that, I kind of like to have a few days to schedule it in, or else I've scheduled something else in my plans. Yeah,
it is different. Because I've been around education. My wife's a teacher, and even when I started working with the school district, I know before you had to actually put it into the system, and then it would come out, and you'd call, maybe not get a call, like you said, those last minute phone calls in the morning. I know some of my friends that were baseball players that had degrees and they were working on their credential. When they'd come home in the off season, they would go back to their local high school or where they knew people, and, hey, I have a dentist appointment next week. Can you sub for me? Yes. So they would just kind of set it up where they're working a couple days a week just to bring in income, but they knew ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then with Harupa, I found out that, and they probably do this at other school districts, I don't know, but we have the resident subs. Which I thought is very nice because you can plan, you know every day you're going to be at the same school, and you have a schedule, and it makes life easier than the 6 a.m. phone calls. Because I tried it for a little bit in the summer with the summer school. Oh, okay. And because when I first started there, of course, you're at the bottom of the list, and I never have my phone on. So I'd wake up at 8 o'clock and I'd look like, oh, they called me at 6. Yeah. And I'd call them back and I said, let me guess, you guys don't need me anymore. I said, but I need to know before I go to sleep. Yeah. So, that unknown is really, really difficult to plan, especially if you're a planner or a scheduler and you have other things going on. So, exactly. And you had mentioned too that now that you've tried doing this, and nobody really knows when they're going to go back. Right. Is that something that, I know we talked a little bit about it, but is that something you think you'd want to maybe continue for a couple more years and see how it is when you're actually in the class more, see if maybe it changes, or what are your thoughts on that right now?
I probably would, but let me just tell you that I thought I was going to like working with younger kids more than I did. Okay. So maybe it was just the classes I had. Not all of them were bad. You had some really good moments, but you're just kind of thrown in, and there is no love for subs out there. No love. No. I would go with my goodie bag, like, hey, I'm one of the nice ones. I'm going to give you chocolate, throwing candy. Sometimes it would work, but man, there's just no love for subs. So, would I stick around with it? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah,
it's definitely, that's another one of those jobs that's evolved. Yeah. I'm around a lot of teachers and a lot of admin people, and I look at them and I go, you know what? I'm just not one of those people that's motivated by a lot of zeros. Yeah. It's got to be a lot of zeros for me to be motivated. And so for lack of a better word, the risk versus the reward. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather fight a little bit more for my money than to come and do that. Just because it's more of a thankless job now.
Yes, yeah.
And it's especially now because nobody really knows what it's going to look like going back.
Right.
There's just so many things that are unknown, and for teachers, it's difficult because, like you had said, you get into it because the love of the kids, and you want to help and you want to change lives, and you have all these positive things that you want to do.
Yeah.
But there's things that come up that you really can't be able to do that.
Right.
You have to deal with other things that take you away from what you love.
Yes.
And so you kind of lose that passion for it. So you have to find other ways, which a lot of people do, and hopefully they do it before they get too far into it.
Yeah. So I kind of did. Sorry, I don't know if you're gonna get into the book later, but
I got you there. No, not yet. No.
Like I said, I've been talking to teachers, doing visits, and that is so much more rewarding going in for half an hour than it is going for the full day subbing. I don't want to completely knock subs, the position. No. I mean, because they're brave souls, but the position in general, you have to be a brave soul to go in there and do that, and just roll with the punches and adjust to a new class pretty much every day and different. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is, not to compare the two too much, but part of the thing that where I got out of the day-to-day coaching, I try to tell parents is that it's nice when you go in and let's say you're working with the infielders and the hitters, and you think, I really want to be the head coach. Well, when you get up to be the head coach, there's other responsibilities that take you away from the field. Billy took a swing at his teacher. We need you to come in the office. Well, Billy, I'm not responsible for Billy in class. I'm responsible for Billy on the field. So when you have things like that, and then all of a sudden you kind of lose that passion. I just want to be someone that comes and does my job and go. But now, you have to try to create things. And so with what I do at our shop, it's one-on-one. So all of the parents that bring their kids in, they have the same desire that the kids do most of the time and that you do. They want to improve. So you don't have to deal with the other things. And like you said, coming into the class, I'm the fun uncle. You drop him off for 30 minutes. I can feed him candy. I can joke with him, whatever. And if he has a bad day, just take him home with you. My 30 minutes is over. So you only get the fun part of it. And that enjoyment stays. And I think that keeps you motivated a little longer.
Yes. It is. Like you said, I love that analogy, the fun uncle, because when you have to be there all day and deal with all the rest of it, it's not always fun.
Yeah. Well, it's like being a parent. You know? And you realize that, when I talk to other teachers like this and coaches, your role changes, and some days it's tougher because you're more parent than teacher or more parent than coach. And depending on how the students or the players take it, that'll change tomorrow. Yeah. So it can be a rough week. It can be rough months with certain kids. And so it does make it. So now I'll lead you to your next one here. I didn't want to give away our big surprise there. But so kind of the way that I saw it, I think you were reading some of the books online, or you were talking about being in class reading. Yeah. So you wrote a book. Yes. Tell me, before we show the book, what kind of started the fire to do that? Because it's another big project. It's a time commitment. Yeah. It's artistic. It's also creative. There's a lot of different things that go into writing a book than just getting up in the morning and go, I want to write a book. Yeah.
Okay, so I've kind of always known I wanted to have a book. Maybe it was like, the vain part of me where it's like, I want to see my name on that picture book. And picture books in particular, because I've always loved them since I was a kid, and then being able to buy my daughter picture books, I love them. So I just knew that was the one I was going to have. Could I write a chapter book? I don't know. I never really thought about that, but a picture book, yes. So there was that little idea from years ago. So 2020 comes around, we're at home, not knowing when we're going to go back to work. And, we're just kind of sitting around for a couple weeks. And when you realize this is going to last more than 2 weeks, I thought, okay, let me think. What are the things I've always wanted to do? And I keep saying, I'll do it when I have more time. Now's my chance. I have time. So there was a few things, and it just came down to, I'm going to write my picture book. I'm going to learn how to self-publish. And that was something I had already decided before, that was the route I was going. So I just went head first, and I wrote a picture book.
Wow. So that's actually something new. I didn't even know that. So self-publish, for those people like me that don't know what that means, what does that entail?
So traditional publishing is when you go through a publishing house. Normally, if you're the author of the story, you turn in your script, a manuscript of a story you wrote, and then they take the rest from there.
Okay.
They normally pay you up front, or you'll get some kind of royalties afterwards. It's not very easy to be published traditionally. And so a few years ago when I looked into it, thinking one day I'm going to write a book, I found that out. And I realized you have to already be a known author or a celebrity. Celebrities have books all the time. Yeah. Or you have to have some kind of platform, right? So they don't want just anyone throwing them a script, which is understandable. And so I just already knew when I do my picture book, I'm going to go the other route, which is self-publishing, which has really blown up in the last few years. Yeah. A lot of it because of Amazon and KDP. So people are able to self-publish very easily. So that pretty much means that you get rid of the publishing company and you do it all yourself. Because there are platforms like Amazon, but there's also other ones. There's just so much to learn about it. So like I said, I went head first. I did an online class on a 21-day challenge, how to write a manuscript for a picture book. Okay. So I did that. I learned, okay, now what do you do next? You hire an editor. And so there's just so much freelance out there. So I went on a website where you can find, all kinds of freelancers that do all those jobs you need to put a picture book together, or really any book. But for mine, it was the picture book. So I found an editor. I found an illustrator. You could find web designers, all kinds of stuff, right? Because you're doing all the promoting, all the marketing. You're fronting the bill. So it's a lot of work, but that's the route I went.
Yeah. Well, probably not as much as if you'd gone through a publisher.
No, a publisher, actually, they pay for everything. They pay you. I mean, it does still take a while to make money if you go through the traditional route, but usually the publishing company takes that upfront cost. They're paying for printing. They're paying for illustrations. You, a lot of times as the author, don't even meet the illustrator. They put all that stuff together. You can do some promoting, of course, because you want the book to do well, because then you get more royalties. Sure. But yeah, you usually don't have to put your own money into that project. Self-publishing, it's all you. You do it all. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. And that's, I think everybody's seen shows and movies and things where they reference publishers and writing books and things like that. And I think most of the time it's from what I remember, the ones that I've seen, it's they give you an upfront check, like you mentioned, and then there's a time limit. I need this book by so we can get it out, get it going. So how long did it take you to write that book? From idea to finish to you getting the actual copy back?
It took about 6 months. From the time that I started writing, which was in April of 2020, because I think those 2 weeks of March, I just kind of sat wondering what was going on like the rest of the world. Yeah. And so April I started, and I had a manuscript by, I believe by May. And then, I was holding a book in my hand by October.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it actually was pretty quick because I've met so many authors, since joining this community, and people will take a year or more on making a book. It is a long process.
Yeah, I guess the content probably dictates that somewhat too. Yeah. And then for you, obviously, I'm guessing children's books because you were teaching and kind of gave you the motivation for that. Yeah.
So picture books. Okay, so going back to the teaching part, like I said, I thought I was going to enjoy teaching younger kids more. Maybe I would, at some level, but I actually really enjoy teaching college students. Sure. Yeah. So, but I still love the picture book idea and, making something for younger kids. I still really enjoy that. So yeah, that's the route I went. Maybe one day I love reading like self-help books, so maybe I'll do something like that. Sure. But I'm not sure.
Well, and I'm thinking that would be everything that you've gone through. That would be another class in itself that you could teach. Because I'm sure there's people out there like we talked before that have that idea, but then just right now, as you were telling me everything you went through, I already went through. It's too hard. Yeah. But that's just my laziness sometimes. But when you're doing that, that's something that everybody's got self-help or how-to things out there right now.
Yeah.
You can YouTube how to change your oil and all
Yes.
this other stuff. So that's another avenue for you to do that. And still teaching.
Yes,
And
definitely.
again, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would like to do that and have the determination. In 6 months, I mean, that's pretty much, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to do it. There's no procrastinating in there. So that's good. So let's do this. Why don't you show the book? Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay.
Maybe point out some things that you might have in there that you maybe had personal experiences with, things like that.
So I have two here. Do I hold them up?
Yeah, so they can see it above the chihuahua.
So I have two here because it's in English and in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's two of the same book.
You're bilingual,
different. Yes.
Okay.
But my Spanish is pretty terrible. I understand it. I could speak it from time to time, but it's pretty terrible.
Now, I said you're guessing, and I'm also, my last name Ramirez, so I'm not being racial when I say that, just so everybody, so everybody knows. And mine is too. I tell people, I could probably find you a bathroom and get you something to eat.
Yes.
But I can't defend you in court. So
Exactly. Yeah, I could try, but oh boy, it's going to be a challenge. And I have been asked a couple times when I'm reading to read the Spanish one, and I'm like, okay, I'll get stuck on a couple words trying to say it clearly, but then other words, they sound great. So.
Yeah. Well, that's a book on tape right there. You just have someone read it and it sounds
yes,
like that.
I know. I should do that. Okay, so what should I show you about the book? Well, look at these illustrations. Okay, I cannot take credit for these.
Okay.
I love them so much. But like I said, I went on a website. I found an illustrator, Sunny Duran. She's in Maryland. So that was the great thing about working in quarantine. There was so much negative to look at, but I was just like, wow, what a time to be going through this, because I could sit in my home in Harupa Valley and work with people across the country and across the globe, from my own home.
Yeah.
So I really tried to focus on those things that we were able to do. It was pretty magnificent. So Sunny, she's in Maryland. And she helped me put the illustrations together. And I love that part of self-publishing because I got to work with her. We got to meet. We would do Zoom calls or, on social media, talk to each other. And if I had went traditional route, like I said, you usually don't even meet the illustrator. So that was a really fun part. And with the main character, Lonnie Ray, she's based on my daughter Leilani. So I showed her a picture of my daughter, and then she kind of, I said it doesn't have to be exactly like her, but just her likeness. So yeah, so that's what she did.
Okay, so the name of the book is
Lonnie Ray's Marvelous Hair.
Okay.
So again, everything comes full circle, right? It's about hair.
That's why I asked it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about hair. Do I give it away? Do you want me to tell the story?
You can. Let's pick some highlights. And then go, so that way,
because it's a short book. Most picture books are 32 pages, so it's a pretty short story.
Okay.
The main character, like I said, based on my daughter, so a lot of the little details I added about her. Here, she's in ballet, jiu-jitsu, she's at school. So my daughter really had super long hair when she was little, and she tried ballet, she tried jiu-jitsu. So these were all things that I incorporated.
Okay.
And then I added the quirky stuff of like what it is to have long hair. It gets stuck in places. You wake up and it's a mess, it falls into your cereal. So, and actually with her, it would actually fall into the toilet. And I was like, should I put that in the book? And she said, no. Okay, so it falls into the cereal bowl. So there was just so many different things that I added about my daughter. But most people don't realize there is a sad part to the story.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of turns, and it touches on childhood cancer, actually.
Okay.
So this story, I've had so many different ideas for stories, but this one was easier for me to write because, like I said, a lot of it is based on my daughter and the fact that she donated her hair.
Okay.
And that's something that we would see in the salon. It's such a beautiful thing, to see someone give a piece of their self to help someone.
Sure.
And so when she was 6 years old, it was her idea to do that. And she's done it twice now.
Wow.
When she was 6, when she was 8. And so I just thought that'll be one of my picture books. So it ended up being the first one I wrote. And I looked up some picture books on that topic, and none really showed a recipient of hair, you know, of a wig. And so that's what I added in this story. So I kind of gave it away now.
That's okay. We still don't know who it is or how that ends. So you can do that. Just the highlights of it. And because, again, there's always some type of message that you want to put, especially with kids.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is a very cool message to do. And the fact that you're able to incorporate your daughter in that, I'm sure she loves that.
She did.
She's proud of showing her friends that the book's kind of about her and that she was an inspiration for that. So, I mean, and I can almost see that going forward where she might want to pick up, you know, and start taking over yours, and you can start on another series. And so that's very cool. So did she have a big help in that?
She did. I would kind of throw ideas to her, and you know, so she would kind of help me with that, like give me ideas. Yes, do this or include that. So that was really fun to do that with her. She has, you know, she's 11 right now, so she's always changing what she wants to be when she grows up. But she has mentioned, I want to be a writer too, and she loves drawing. She's more of like, I could see her doing comic strips or comic books. So she really enjoyed, you know, being part of that and learning from it.
So this is off topic, but just as you're doing this, I think you'll get this too. So as a teacher and then just someone that's really found a positive in all of the stuff that's going on. Adam and I have had these conversations how, you know, you can look at things as a negative, but you know, for me, I'm probably a lot older than you. When you finished high school, you felt like you had 5 choices, you know, and if you don't want to go to college, you're going to work the rest of your life. And if you go to college, you can, you know, business, this, and this. And if you don't like any of those, tough. You know, do it for 50 years, get your watch, your retirement, and be happy about it. Now there's just so many things. And when we're in the class, you know, telling the teachers, you know, it's really hard for me to try to tell these kids they need this. Because there's so many people that don't use it. There's so many people that, and I feel like with education, you have to be more creative because there's so many different ways to, for lack of a better word again, go about your life and do things. You know, you're in essence teaching your daughter how to create her own career rather than have it dictated to you. You know, and you're still teaching, but you've taken all the things that you've done where you said, I kind of go where the wind takes me. Well, all those experiences, now if you look at it, they've all connected to put you where you're at. And that's a different way of teaching. You know, you can take these in any direction you want. And you're teaching, you're just not in the classroom, you're not online. You're not really restricted to how you teach and where you teach anymore.
Exactly. Yes, I don't like restrictions.
No, it's...
So, what was the point I was going to make with that? I don't like restrictions, but... oh gosh, everything was just flowing so well.
Sorry. Well, I mean, the point I was trying to make was even for me, you know, and I'm kind of on the back end of whatever career I have, but you know, I can think of ways now that there's things that have that kind of creativity that you can take them farther than you would have even been able to do 10 years ago. You know, because like you said, 10 years ago, maybe even not that far, you probably had no other option but to use a publisher.
Exactly. Yeah. And before, you know, that like you mentioned, it was you get a career, like you should know what you're going to do. You do that for 50 years and then you retire, right? So that's really kind of gone. I mean, maybe it still exists for, you know, a lot of people, but it's not the majority how it used to be. So now you see a lot of freelance. You see a lot of entrepreneurs. You see a lot of people dabbling in different things. And I'm hoping I'm not going to kick myself later, but, you know, I'm telling my daughter, okay, your college fund, that's for college. But if you need to make your own business, you know, you could do that too. I'm trying to keep her mind open. It could be risky, but I don't want her to limit herself.
Right. And I think that's the best thing that you can teach her. I mean, again, for me personally, because even when she's old enough to decide how she wants to make money and survive, it's going to be totally different. You know, right now what they're seeing is just kind of the surface of it. You know, some of this in 10 years you might be able to do right from your house. You know, you might not even have to consult with anybody else. And you might not even have to. You can come up with the idea, you can illustrate it, you can edit it, you can print it, you can ship it, everything right from your own home. And the only thing that limits you is your creativity. So I think there's so many kids now that they would be better served to just kind of let that go and learn from that and grow and make mistakes. And I think the key that I'm noticing that holds a lot of them back is they're not allowed to make mistakes. You have to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. We all do.
And and I just, you know, you just have to learn from them. Because like with my daughter, like I said, she's always changing what she wants to do. Of course, that's normal,
Sure,
when you're
at
a
her
little
age,
kid. But, even if she does that as an adult, I want her to be okay with doing that, as an adult.
The mistakes are fine. It's just understanding that if you do, then there might be some adversity that comes with it that you have to overcome.
Exactly.
And it'll get past, and I'll figure something else out, and I'll try something else, and eventually it'll stick. There's tons of stories like that about these entrepreneurs that are very, very well off and successful now. How many times they failed before that? But again, it's like that picture you always see of the iceberg. Everybody just sees the part above. They don't see all the work
everything
below.
else you had to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, for you, I'm excited for you because I'm just my creativity is spinning and thinking, man, there's 10 other books that you can do for different ages and different things. And we've had people in here and talking about a lot of motivational speakers that you see now on Instagram and on TED Talks and things like that. And there's just so many different avenues if you just are open to trying different things. Yeah. So that's very cool. So with that book, that's your first one.
Yes.
Right? Do you have kind of an idea of maybe going into a series or any ideas?
Yeah, I would like to. So I'm still pretty fresh. I'm a baby in this area.
Sure.
I'm still learning. Self-publishing, you have to be really good at marketing, which I can't say I am. I'm still learning that a lot. So I kind of recently picked up the tactic of let me read to students. Let me join. We're all online right now. Let me join classrooms online. I do it all from my home, and I can read to students. So that's one way to get my book out there. And a lot of times I'm donating books to the schools.
Okay.
But if someone wants to purchase them, then that's where it comes from. So I'm still working out these tactics and seeing what works best for me. I would love to have a series of Lonnie Ray because there's a lot more stories I can tell. With her, with
Absolutely,
that character. Yeah. From a marketing standpoint, I would have to make sure that this one does well, to create more. But I'm going to create more.
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, and again, like I said, they get easier.
Yeah.
Because now you've kind of got an idea what things that you can do and what I can make a little faster or how I can change things up. And I think now the way things are, there's a lot of homeschool. There's a lot of kids that are. And again, who knows how long.
Right.
And I'm thinking there's probably going to be some parents that have already adjusted to having their kids at home. Yeah. And maybe they have the means or the jobs to do it.
Right.
Maybe they'll continue to do it.
Yeah.
And they'll be looking for other avenues to teach. And, and that's kind of the generation that you're in. So, I mean, I think there's a whole different, as opposed to having to go through a school district to supply the books for your class.
Yeah.
You cut out 2 or 3 steps and they can go that way with it. So I think it'll be very, 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 very productive for you in the future, just with the way things are right now.
Yeah. I'm trying to embrace it. Right now I'm liking it. I had a little bit of experience with online because part of my bachelor's degree I did online. I did get to the point, surprisingly, where I was like, I need to go on campus or else I don't know what, I'm going to go crazy, sitting here by myself. So I'm more of a fan of a hybrid type. But yeah, doing online has worked for me most of the time. This is definitely a different circumstance than, doing online schooling. Sure. But I can't, I've kind of been adapted to it, I guess I could say. But believe me, I definitely understand why some people are like, I need to get out, get out of here. So I'm one of those people, I'm never one extreme to the other. I kind of fall in the middle with everything. So hybrid is my perfect.
You don't have to choose. I get a little bit of both. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I'm the other way. I'm black and white.
Really?
But, yeah. And again, when I talk to teachers and even students, I'm the old guy already. I'm like, you know what? 40 years ago, we didn't have any of these options.
Yeah.
You didn't know any better.
Right.
And when you go now, I think the high school kids, I try to explain to them, you look at CBU, you look at Grand Canyon, you look at all these universities. How did they get so big? Online instruction. Yeah. And you know what? When you graduate, guess what? Most of your classes are going to be online. Yeah. So when you get there, you're going to look back and go, man, I'm glad I had the opportunity to learn how to do all this because this is what I'm going to get. Yeah. And it's not going to go back. Right. It's just going to get easier and easier because now these schools can get money from people all over the world rather than just people that can make it to their school.
Right. Exactly. And we kind of already saw it, right? Before the whole pandemic, like for K through 12, I would see advertisements for at home learning, like online learning.
Sure.
I even kind of thought, maybe when my daughter's in high school, I would, consider that for her, just because I didn't know where the wind was going to take us.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's definitely something that we're embracing, and it's growing, and it's, like you said, it's only going to get more into that. We're not going back.
Right, we're not. And for the teachers, I've talked to some of them, and I said, from a business standpoint of the district, I'm looking at you, and I have restrictions on how many kids I can put in your class. Now, when you're in front of the camera, I can get 10 more, and I get more for my money with you than I do with. So, you might be on the top of the wave with kind of wondering if teaching is in my future, because it's going to change. Yeah. Everything has to. I don't know anything that I've ever come across in 50, I got to count, 50 something, but, that hasn't. Everything changes. Yeah, it does. And some takes longer than others. Some people, there's more people that fight for it not to, but eventually it does. Yeah. And so the sooner you can kind of adapt that and be open to maybe changing direction a little bit, I think it just makes it easier for everybody.
I embrace change. Why fight it? Embrace it.
It depends on, change diet, change my beer, things like that. I'm not really into, but in general, I know it has to happen. But for this, I'm really excited. I don't know anybody that's ever written a book. Oh, cool. So that's really cool for me. And
excited to be the first that you meet.
And I'm actually excited for you. It gives me more motivation to watch. And I know a lot of teachers that have young girls, and I know some, my two nieces, actually my four nieces, are all, one's a senior, and she looks just like your daughter. And then I've got other ones that are younger, so I know they would all enjoy the book. And, now, like you talked about the marketing part, believe it or not, I think that's going to be the easiest for you, because there's so many platforms to get in front of,
There are, that is a great thing, but that can also be, a downfall. Right now I've been focusing on Instagram, but you have to kind of master one and then get to the next, because it's so overwhelming trying to get on all of the different platforms and understand them. So I'm kind of taking my time understanding them. I mean, like you said, 5,000 followers, that's very modest. It's very modest. So I have to step my game up.
Not when you only have 90. It's not.
But, I'm a people person. And so that kind of stayed the same. That was kind of my thing, like to reach that amount, because I think I started that account in May. So it kind of grew quickly at first. You kind of hit a stump and then you have to try something different. But to build the majority of the beginning of it, I would just talk to people. That doesn't really go away. That it's not face to face, but just talking to people, building genuine relationships. I'm all for networking, and not networking as like I'm going to get something out of this, but just genuinely building relationships, connections with people. And that's how I did that. I would message people. People would ask me questions and I would be so happy. Yeah, let me give you extra information. If I can help with something, I'll try to. If I don't know where, I'll send you somewhere to check it out. But I like being helpful. I like meeting new people. So that really helped me on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, and think about it this way. For you, the part that you probably favor the most, the face-to-face, you haven't even had a chance to really to take advantage of. So you're being forced again to learn how to use those other mediums. Yeah. And then when things go back to somewhat normal or back to like there, you'll have so much more open to you because the kids will actually be back in class or physical in some way. So you can actually go into these different schools and that'll open it. It'll be a lot more work physically and geographically. Yeah. But you'll have mastered the hardest part and then you'll be going into something that you're most comfortable with. So that'll be a lot easier for you.
Yeah, because I've come across people who, that's what they do for a living. They do school visits and as an author. And sometimes, because they're so used to the traditional way of doing it, they don't really like to do the online. Right. And I can see that. Maybe if you started, one way and then you went back to online, you don't get that same feel, that same engagement. Yeah. So hopefully it gets better for me, because I'm starting out this way. It's kind of weird, you're looking at everyone on a little screen and you're like, oh yeah, you're really trying to stay enthusiastic. So good thing they're short sessions, but it could be a little challenging, but I love it. And so I'm just hoping once we're in person, it just gets even better.
Yeah, I think it will. Yeah. And I mean, for you, it's just something that your personality comes across when you're doing it that way. And that's why you probably got into teaching, because, I've talked to a lot of teachers that way, and they're younger like you, and they're really bummed out because they need that too. They got into teaching for that interaction and that face-to-face and that relationship building with the kids that way. Even with this, I have tons of friends and coaches across the country, and the first thing they ask is, do you Zoom or can you do? So I've got probably about 100 people I could do this with, but I like doing this.
Yeah.
So taking advantage of it, because a lot of the coaches I've had in, I said, right now during this time, they'd be playing.
Right.
And so I maybe get 10, 15 minutes if I take time off, go to the game, see them at the field, but then they have to go to work. Right. So now if they're just gracious enough to drive down and sit with me, I said, when would we ever get an hour to sit and talk? It would always be too busy, or I'd have to work, or I've got practice. So for me, I wanted to take advantage of that, because a lot of the coaches that I had on I've known them for years, and we've just kind of evolved into, we just text each other these little blurbs, and that's it. So to be able to do something like this is great, and I've just got to wrap my head around doing the Zoom stuff. So I do it with the teachers at school, and it kind of creeps me out, because I can see both of us. I'm like, that eyebrow is like sticking straight up.
Yes. You know what? It's so funny, because right now I'm wondering, what the heck do I look like? I'm so used to seeing what I look like when I'm talking to people. Sure. And then I have these Invisalign in, so I'm probably always like licking my teeth, and it's just so, I'm so aware of that doing online stuff. And so I think this is the first in-person thing that I've done.
I was going to ask you if you had ribs for breakfast. I'm just kidding. I didn't notice until you said it. But that, it is. Like I said, Adam and I, we'd been talking, because I told you he was an umpire. Yeah. And I said, all of my friends used to gather in Arizona, because they're either players or coaches. Oh, okay. And I said, we need to get out there and do a bunch of these interviews. But then last year hit, and we couldn't do that. And so they all came home, so I was able to get a lot of them to come in. And now we're kind of making plans to do that again. I said, but catching them on a schedule and bringing them to a house or whatever that we rent and setting this up is a little bit more of an undertaking. But, I enjoy the interaction a lot more than I thought. I got used to just texting people and sending them little blurbs.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely need that interaction, but try the online. You might like it. And it's, even if it's only for those certain people that will not ever come in, you can't do it face-to-face. Right. You get to capture more people that way if you have, like I said, the happy medium, best of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, and so what I started doing, which is cool, like I told you, is I started venturing out and just other professions, because I started to realize that all of my friends are through baseball. All the people I know is because of baseball. And when I look at it from the other side, I'm like, well, that's kind of boring. So let's try to add to it. And so, but you're in the same field somewhat. You're on the education side. And I have a lot of friends and family that are in that. And, like I said, the book was interesting to me, that someone actually had the discipline and the time to do that. Now that I found out that you did all of that on your own, that it more, makes me curious on how that all works, because it is. You basically gave yourself your own education.
I sat and I learned it. I just researched stuff. I joined Facebook groups. I just met people who already did it online. And so it was a lot of your own research. And like I said, I'm still learning every day, listening to books. I do a lot of audiobooks, books about the subject. And really it's subjects. It's so many different subjects. Like, I would really get into one thing and think, okay, I think I'm about done. Oh no. And then a door opens for something completely different, like the marketing, the advertising, there's so many different things,
Yeah, it is. And like I said, I'm overwhelmed just hearing it. Because I'm thinking, I just go ahead and send it in. They just print it and they put some cartoons on there and we're good.
No.
But it's a lot more than that. So, is. And that's really good, because a lot of people, like I said, there's some people that probably can do all that and they're really motivated to do it. And you going out and telling them, hey, I did this in my spare time. I wasn't, I'm also a cosmetologist. I'm also teaching. I'm also, so you can't give me the excuse that you don't have time and you have a daughter. So that makes it that much more difficult. So let you plug a little bit. So you do the school readings. Are you doing them through Zoom right now, or? Yeah.
So actually, it's whatever platform the schools are using.
Okay.
So the school happens to use Zoom. That's what we use, and Zoom is actually more user friendly for. I think so. Maybe because I'm more used to it. But if you're not in the district, so I've actually met with classes across the country.
Okay.
So not just here in Riverside or California.
Cool. Okay.
My first book reading was in New Jersey. Wow. So, and it was just mostly people I met online, like on Instagram. And then they would refer me to someone else and so on, so I've had a few across the country, and I like to screen share. So I'll show them like a whole presentation on my inspiration for writing the story. And Zoom is the only one right now. So I'm learning the different platforms. Zoom is the only one that lets me screen share if I'm not in the district. You need a district email. So now that I have mine set up for JUSD, I'm hoping it'll be easier because they use Google Meets, I believe.
Google Meets.
So there's usually like every single time that I go to a classroom, even if it's in the same district or I'm using, I think it's Google Meets, Zoom, and there's another one that we use. And I can't, Microsoft Meets or something like that.
Google Meets, so I don't really venture that.
So there's a few different ones that I've come across, and there's usually some kind of hiccup. And so, we'll try it out like a few minutes before, sometimes, ahead of time, like a day before, and just see if it works. We'll try a few different things. Usually we can figure it out pretty quickly, and then I'm on there. Only one time I think it did not work, and that was in someone in South Carolina, and I couldn't meet with them. So I was like, let's do an Instagram Live. Let's do something. I was trying to think of something, but she had her class, and it was like, we'll try it again another time. But just learning different platforms. So sometimes I'll read traditionally, and that's what I do a lot of times. If I can screen share, I'll put the actual book up and they can read it on the screen. So it's on there. So we have different options. That one I can do with Zoom. So it's fun doing the online readings.
Oh, it sounds like you're actually already on the right track with the marketing. If you're already across the country and things like that, that's great. Yeah. So on your Instagram, how can people find you on that? So
I'm at Yesenia.rodriguez.author. That's the Instagram handle. And so, if you hashtag Lonnie Ray's Marvelous Hair, you can find some of my posts or posts about my books. So that's what I use the most is Instagram. So, that's a great way to get in touch with me. I also have a Facebook, Yesenia Rodriguez. I have a Facebook business page, Yesenia Rodriguez Author. You can find me on Amazon. So my book is also available on Amazon.
Oh, great.
The hardcovers, these are prints that I had done, so I just sell these myself. But I do have print on demand on Amazon. So if someone was interested, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
Please do.
If someone was interested in putting their book out there without having to pay for actual physical books to be sent to their house, you can put it on Amazon, print on demand, and then you don't have to put any money into the printing. You just, Amazon, if someone goes in and orders your book, Amazon prints that one book and sends it to the buyer, and then they just give you royalties on that. That's how that works. But I did buy several books to have, if I do like pop-ups or different things like that, I'll mail these out myself. So, these are, the paperback is on Amazon and the ebook is on Amazon. So you can search Lonnie Ray's Marvelous Hair, find the book that way, or El Cabello Maravilloso de Lonnie Ray. It is on there separate as in a Spanish book. So English and Spanish, ebook and paperback, and you can follow me on Amazon as well.
Well, no, that's all good information because that's something that, like I said, I'll make sure that when we get the editing of the video, I'll add that to there. I'll probably get back with you again and add it. And then now that I'm thinking, I have a couple teachers that I'll probably pass your information to so that you can pop in and read to them and things like that. So, or even just in general, I know, some of our teachers, because of the way things are with the teaching, they're looking for people to come in and talk to kids in general about, what do you do for after school, or how can I use this to get me into doing this type of thing as a career? So I think,
right now I'm offering the readings and the author meets for free. So I've been getting a lot of them, because I'm doing them for free. But I just want people to learn about the book, to get my name out there. I really am planning on having new books come out soon. So I don't have any dates. I'm not that far yet, but hopefully if I can get myself out there and known as much, then all of this work won't be in vain. Because I like doing the free visits for students. And I know that, a lot of times teachers will have to pay for it themselves, and I'm not there yet to charge for it. There are people who do and, rightly so, because it is a lot of work that goes into it. But yeah, I'm doing them for free, so I'll be doing them in the classrooms as long as people will have me.
Great. No, I will definitely pass that along. So, I mean, that does a lot of good information there, and it's been fun. And I promised you we'd keep it to, like 60, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But, I really look forward to following and seeing where that goes with you. And like I said, it's already kind of got the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the way my brain works, like a Rolodex. And the stuff we talk about today won't kick to the front until maybe Friday.
Yeah.
But, there's so many things that I really wanted to jump in and help you with, just because you put all that work into it. And I want to see it be successful for you, or just see you do more. Because I think it's just such a cool idea. And I like the fact, honestly, that you have so much energy about taking what's a lot of negative for a lot of, and it is, there's been a lot of people that have suffered from it and things like that, but it's adversity. Yeah. And I've always been a big proponent of people that have gone through adversity and come out on the other end, because I think that's what builds people. Yeah. And I think as teachers or people that work with kids, that's kind of our fundamental, it's okay to make mistakes, but there's always something positive that comes out of that learning experience. And I liked the fact that you were doing that. And then the more I've got to talk to you, I realize how much work you put into it, and how that's a motivating factor for you. So I mean, that's great. You're a positive influence for kids, and you found a way to pass that on in a different medium. So that's
thank
very
you so
cool.
much. You're gonna make me tear up.
No, it's positive. It is. I mean, like I said, I think we just need more of that. And I think it's from talking to other people here, it's explained to them, it always falls on the adults. Yeah. And you're kind of right on the fringe there, but you're not an old guy or like us. So you kind of feel like it's your responsibility. You can't let the younger generation lose motivation. You can't let them can't let them see things
you have to put the fire under them.
You have to show them, hey, look, I've already been through worse, and this is where we are. So anybody that I know that motivates, the younger generations, I'm all for, and I always want them to be positive and keep going. Yeah, that's kind of the essence of people.
Yep, we have to push each other.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I'm so glad you came out.
Thank you
so
much.
Fist bumped it. But I mean, I'm glad. And like I said, when you have the next book come out, or if you have anything that you're going to be in the area doing, please let me know. Yeah. We're in the same district, so I'm sure I'll probably run into you at some point when they come through. Exactly. And then, we've been going back and forth on Instagram. So if there's anybody that you see that I know that you want to talk to, by all means, network. I have no problem with that. I'll pass your information on to a few of the teachers that I know that are elementary. Yeah. And I know some students or teachers that have daughters, so I think that would be kind of a cool book for them to do too. So I will definitely pass that on, and I look forward to the next time you come out.
Thank you. Have me back. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, no, this was great. I enjoy it. So I will definitely have you back out. So again, happy Monday, everybody. And I want to thank my guest, Miss Yesenia Rodriguez. Again, you can find her on Instagram, on Facebook. If you get a chance, you can have her in for a reading on Zoom or Google Meets or whatever you prefer. And again, I want to thank my sponsors, Chihuahua Cerveza, Resilient Real Estate, and 100% Media. So until next time, we'll see you.